So hopefully you have had time to check all the previous slides regarding finite and infinite games, also the game theory, also the parts rules regarding players, added value, the rules that are being applied in the game, tactics being applied, and the scope of the game. Since the next slide would be in one side a little bit chaotic, I decided to video it so that you can see step by step the possible order how you create a value network. So let's start with this presentation. First, I have stated here that you should start going through your stakeholders or players. Let's call them players from now on. In this example, I have named the title, the aim of the game being snack bar ramp up. And previously I have already gone through the parts rules. P part, namely the players, and once the players are being brainstormed, you will simply take a clean screen, for example Miro platform, or you can use PowerPoint as I have done in this example. All the players, once you start to position them on the canvas, you should keep in your mind that between all the players there are to be transactions, and these transactions, they can be tangible or intangible transactions. The special weight should be kept with what kind of added value each individual or each player may provide to other players in your game. The transactions between the player should be differentiated with various kind of arrows. Arrow pointing to the player who is to receive the added value. In this case, the added value would be something material or tangible, like a product or semi-finish, or something that you can touch, something that is concretic. Next one is information, which is of course intangible one. Information is very essential in daily business. When you are selling, when you are planning, when you are producing, when you are controlling, when you are ordering, or when you are making any kind of a decision. So you always need information, and this is something that will be left with lesser notice when we are trying to describe our value chains or value networks. In value network, you will come to notice that intangible added values and intangible transactions, they are in the core of value being provided to any parties. Then of course the monetary added value in terms of payment or financing, funding. So this is about it. Now remember that there most likely will be more than only one arrow between two players, and as you start positioning the players on the game board or canvas, you will start through discussion noticing the possible transactions with the players, and also you most likely come to notice that whether some players are missing from your game. So don't feel frightened to add players as your setting develops further. I have decided that since the game we are playing is Snack Bar Ramp Up, it should be examined or observed from a perspective of an owner. So I decided to place the player owner in the middle. Then I start adding the various players here on the board, and I try to place them so that it somehow makes a certain kind of sense. In this I have used on the background the value chain going from left to the right. That is of course not something that you should follow. Instead, feel free to try various settings and move freely all the players on the board so that it resembles or resonates with the idea that you are aiming towards to. Okay, now it looks like the players have been placed on the board, and what I start doing next is that I will start simply adding the arrows. Above you see the tangible, intangible and monetary transactions that are possible between the players, and when I'm thinking of a Snack Bar Ramp Up starting from 0 where we have got nothing. Of course we do need instruments to cook our offerings, so we need some kind of instrument supplier. What would instrument supplier provide tangible added value to owner is up-to-date equipment, and of course in turn they receive money for it. Then as you notice, there is really no certain order in which you should or could add the transactions to the board. Next one, I have come up with owner and construction fair and possible food fairs that could provide us hints or ideas. Maybe some kind of entry payment ticket for the fair is what they get added value. Then I noticed that okay, training center is obviously missing here. If I want to have trained workers who have got knowledge, they know what to do, therefore training centers is a must there, through which of the input they are training my intended workers, who then have got improved efficiency. Then what I'm providing to customer, in terms of ramping up our snack bar, we want to provide our customers culinaristic experience that further generates sales to us, and the more we are selling, the better we are in providing culinaristic experience, the greater the market share will be. We also may receive feedback from our clients. Notice now that the transaction is no longer tangible, but instead intangible, since we are now receiving added value in terms of information. Also, we are thinking that the social media somehow links to customers. So if we are able to get the customers share their experiences based on what they are experiencing when enjoying our snacks, then they maybe share their ideas in social media. As you see, I really am jumping here back and forth. For ADHD individuals, this kind of practice is excellent. For those who won't systematically proceed, this may cause some gray hairs. Then from from the social media, I obviously am starting to think partners in terms of celebrities, what they could be providing us. Maybe public relationships could be improved through them. Something will be paid for them. And if we get the partners, the celebrities, I mean, to make some video logs in the social media, that in turn will support or enhance the customers' motivation to share their experiences, to be present with the celebrities that they so much enjoy of. Then these in turn may bring as an added value to customers the belonging to something feeling. And this goes on and on. I finished here when I prepared this example, since I started noticing that the value network is starting to build up. This doesn't mean that you should quit here, as you notice that there are still newspaper, radio competitors, that an advertising agencies, municipality that is in charge of any permissions relating the snack bar activity. That doesn't mean that you should have to sorry, that this doesn't mean that you should have to stop here. Instead, go on until you don't find any possible transactions between the players. And third time, I remind you, feel free to add any as relevant considered players to your network. Couple of more commentaries. Instead of having this transaction here described as an ordinary arrow, we may enhance the arrow and replace it by a thicker one in order to emphasize the importance of this transaction. So when we are playing the game, which is in this case infinite game, we want to launch the snack bar and ramp up it until it is as good as it can get. And as you understand, in infinite game, there is no specific end when the game should end. We simply continue improving our activities on and on. There is no end for this kind of activity. Should we have got a finite game here, then we would simply stop when we feel that our goal of the game has been achieved. Additionally, we think that the feedback from customers, it is also very important, so we want to emphasize these transactions as well. Now the next steps would be the tactics that you want to apply here. That means you will make a written collection of your guidelines, your principles, your managerial implications, how you can play this game as effectively as possible. What you could also do is that you mark down the most important data collection points from which you can collect the data that you will need in managing this value network. Thank you for listening.